Have you ever sat quietly, turned attention inward and asked, "Who am I?" And instead of peace, something uncomfortable came up. Tightness in the chest, a strange fear of disappearing, old sadness, restlessness, the feeling that if you go any deeper, something bad might happen. And then the mind quickly says, "Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe this practice is not for me." This is more common than many people admit. Self-inquiry can be very peaceful, but it can also bring up fear and deep discomfort, especially when we stop distracting ourselves and begin to look directly at the sense of me. So in this video, let's keep it very practical. What should you actually do when self-inquiry brings up fear? First, understand this. Fear during self-inquiry does not automatically mean something is wrong. The mind is used to running outward. It is used to thinking, planning, defending, remembering, and constantly building the story of me and my life. When you begin self-inquiry, you are no longer feeding that movement in the usual way. You are turning attention back toward the one who is aware of all these thoughts. To the egoic mind, this can feel threatening. The mind may not say, "I am afraid of losing my false identity." It is usually not that clear. It may simply create tension, doubt, sleepiness, or anxiety. It may say, "This feels weird. Stop doing this. Go check your phone. Go think about your problems again." And because the feeling is uncomfortable, we believe the warning. But fear is not always a stop sign. Sometimes it is simply resistance becoming visible. That said, this is where many people make a mistake. They hear that fear is resistance, so they try to force their way through it. They keep asking, "Who am I?" like they are attacking the mind. They try to stay with discomfort no matter what. That is not wisdom. That is just spiritual pressure. Self-inquiry should be sincere, but it should not become violence against yourself. If fear comes up, the first step is not to fight it. The first step is to slow down. Pause the formal inquiry for a moment. Feel your feet. Feel your breath. Feel the body sitting where it is. Let the room be here. Let sounds be here. You are not trying to escape awareness. You are making the practice stable and grounded. Self-inquiry is not dissociation. Real self-inquiry makes you more present, not less present. So, if the practice starts to feel too intense or too disconnected, come back to simple, grounded awareness. Feel the body. Relax the shoulders. Let the jaw soften. Notice the floor. Notice the room. Then, only when things feel a little more steady, you can gently return to inquiry. Now, here is the key question to ask when fear appears. Do not immediately ask, "How do I get rid of this fear?" That question keeps the old pattern alive. It assumes fear is the enemy and that your job is to remove it as fast as possible. Instead, gently ask, "To whom does this fear appear?" Not as a mechanical mantra, not as a trick, not as a way to suppress the fear. Ask it quietly and honestly. Fear is appearing, but to whom? There is a sensation in the chest. There is a thought saying, "I don't like this." But all of this is being noticed. So what is the I that says, "I am afraid"? Do not answer intellectually. Do not say, "The fear appears to awareness," and then feel clever. That becomes another thought. Instead, turn gently toward the felt sense of the one who is afraid. Where is this me that fear is protecting? Self-inquiry becomes powerful when you stop being completely hypnotized by the fear and begin to notice the one who claims the fear. Fear says, "I am afraid." Inquiry gently asks, "Who is this I?" not as a sentence repeated in the head, but as a turning of attention. This is very different from analyzing fear. Analysis asks, why am I afraid? Where did this come from? Is this trauma? Is this a sign of progress? Is this a problem? During self-inquiry, too much analysis usually pulls you back into the mind. One thought creates 10 more thoughts. 10 thoughts create a whole story. And soon you are not practicing inquiry anymore. You are just thinking about your fear. So keep it simple. Fear is here. It is noticed. To whom does it appear? That is the heart of the practice. But let's be honest. Sometimes fear is not mild. Sometimes the body feels overwhelmed. Sometimes there is panic or emotional flooding. In that case, do not force self-inquiry. Open your eyes. Stand up. Walk slowly. Drink water. Look around the room. Feel your feet on the ground. Do something simple and stabilizing. There is no spiritual prize for overwhelming your nervous system. Self-inquiry is not about proving how brave you are. If the system is overloaded, grounding is the practice. Kindness is the practice. Stability is the practice. And if fear or panic keeps coming up strongly, it may be wise to work with a qualified therapist or experienced teacher. That does not mean self-inquiry has failed. It simply means the human instrument needs support. Mature practice includes humility. It knows when to continue, and it knows when to pause. Now let's look at another common fear in self-inquiry. The fear of disappearing. Some people reach a quiet place in practice, and suddenly there is a sense of spaciousness. The usual identity becomes less solid for a moment. There may be a gap between thoughts, and instead of peace, fear appears. The mind says, wait, am I going to vanish? Will I lose myself? Will I stop caring about life? This fear is understandable. The ego cannot imagine peace without itself. It thinks, if I am not controlling everything, nothing will function. But self-inquiry does not destroy your ability to live. You do not forget your name. You do not stop paying bills. You do not stop loving your family. What weakens is the tight identification with every thought, fear, and emotional reaction. What loosens is the burden of being a separate controller of everything. But this loosening can feel scary at first because the mind is used to tension. It is used to familiar suffering. Sometimes peace feels unfamiliar, so the mind interprets it as danger. When this fear of disappearing appears, do not argue with it. Do not try to convince yourself with philosophy. Just return to what is directly present. Before the thought, I am disappearing, are you not here? Before the mind comments on the experience, is there not a simple knowing of the moment? Stay with that simple knowing, not dramatically, not forcefully, just gently. Another practical point, do not turn self-inquiry into emotional suppression. Some people hear, you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are awareness. Then when fear comes, they try to dismiss it. This is not me, this is just the mind. I should not feel this. That becomes a subtle form of avoidance. Self-inquiry is not pretending you do not feel fear. It is seeing fear clearly without becoming completely identified with it. So if fear is present, allow it to be present in the body. Let the sensation be there. Do not add a story if you can avoid it. Do not push it away. But also, do not collapse into it as me. Feel the fear as sensation. Notice the thoughts around it. Then ask, who knows this? Stay with the knower, not as an object you can see, but as the simple fact of being aware. You are not chasing a special experience. You are not waiting for fireworks. You are simply not leaving yourself for the story. When fear says, "Something is wrong," you notice that this is a thought. When the body tightens, you notice that this is sensation. When the mind says, "I cannot do this," you notice that this is another thought. Then gently, again and again, you return to the sense of being the one to whom all of this appears. This is enough. Now, what if fear keeps coming back every time you practice? Then reduce the intensity. Shorten the sessions. Practice for 2 or 3 minutes instead of 20. Do inquiry during ordinary moments rather than only in deep silence. While washing dishes, walking, or sitting quietly with tea, notice the simple sense, "I am." During the day, ask gently, who is worried? Who wants approval? Who is irritated? Then pause for a few seconds and feel the sense of I behind the reaction. That is self-inquiry in daily life. No drama, no spiritual performance, just a quiet returning. Many people accidentally make self-inquiry too heavy. Every time they sit, they expect a breakthrough. They expect the ego to dissolve. They expect some dramatic shift. This creates pressure, and pressure creates fear. So make the practice lighter and more frequent. Let it become simple. Another helpful point is to separate discomfort from danger. Discomfort means something feels unpleasant. Danger means something is actually unsafe. The mind often confuses the two. When you sit quietly and feel fear, the body may behave as if there is a threat. But often, in that moment, you are physically safe. You are sitting in a room. You are breathing. The fear may be an old pattern or resistance to inner stillness. So you can gently say to yourself, "This is uncomfortable, but I am safe enough to be present for one breath." Not 10 minutes, not forever, just one breath, then maybe one more. Now here is a simple method you can use when fear appears during self-inquiry. Step 1. Pause and ground. Feel the body, the breath, the room. Let yourself be here as a human being in this moment. Step 2. Allow the fear as sensation. Feel where it appears in the body. Chest, belly, throat, shoulders. Let the sensation be known. Step 3. Notice the story. The mind may say, "This is dangerous," or "I will disappear," or "I cannot handle this." See these as thoughts appearing now. Step 4. Ask gently, to whom does this fear appear? Do not force an answer. Let attention turn toward the sense of me that feels afraid. Step 5. Rest as the noticing. Even if you can only do this for 2 seconds, that is fine. The point is not to create a perfect state. The point is to see that fear appears to you, but it is not the whole of you. Step 6. Stop if overwhelmed. Open your eyes. Ground yourself. Walk. Breathe. Return to ordinary life. This is not failure. This is intelligent practice. If you remember only one thing from this video, remember this. Self-inquiry is not about fighting fear. It is about discovering who you are before fear tells its story. Fear may appear, discomfort may appear, resistance may appear, but you are invited to look gently and honestly at the one who says, "This is happening to me." Who is that one? Do not rush to answer. Do not turn it into philosophy. Let the question bring attention back to its source. Some days this will feel peaceful. Some days it will feel dry. Some days it may feel uncomfortable. That is normal. Practice does not unfold the same way every day. And that is exactly what the next video explores. If your self-inquiry feels heavy or strangely difficult today, watch my video, Why self-inquiry feels easier some days than others. You will find the link in the description. And remember, you do not need to force your way through fear. You only need to return gently to the one who notices it. Start there, stay simple, and let the practice become kind, steady, and real in your daily life.